Somewhere in a quiet kitchen, a tomato rests in a plastic drawer, chilled and forgotten. It was once ripe with color, bursting with healing compounds like lycopene, so powerful against inflammation and aging. But now, it's pale. The cold has drained its spirit. This isn't just food science. It's a reflection of how we sometimes treat what we don't fully understand. Tomatoes aren't meant for the chill. Their skin reacts, their nutrients fade, and their flavor becomes hollow. For older bodies that rely on gentle, nourishing meals, this change is more than just taste. It's about how the body absorbs what it's given. You see, as we age, our digestion slows down. Our bodies grow more particular, more sensitive to the textures and chemical changes in food. A cold, damaged tomato isn't just unappealing, it's harder to process and less kind to the gut. And for those living alone or with limited appetite, every bite matters. We can't afford food that has lost its value before it's even eaten. So let them ripen on the windowsill. Let them gather sunlight, just as we should. Let the house smell like a warm garden again. That's not nostalgia, it's wisdom. We must remember not all ripening is decay. Sometimes it's becoming, just like us. Bananas tell a similar story. They wear their aging on their skin. Those spots, those streaks, they aren't flaws. They're signs of transformation. And yet the moment we fear they're going bad, we put them in the fridge, thinking we're saving them. But what we're really doing is stopping them from becoming what they're meant to be. The cold halts the ripening process. The skin blackens prematurely. Inside, the banana becomes slimy, unpleasant, and less digestible. Seniors often turn away at that point, not realizing the fruit could have been perfect had it only been left to soften naturally with time. Potassium, one of the banana's greatest gifts, helps regulate blood pressure, prevent cramps, and support a steady heartbeat. But it works best when the banana is fresh and properly ripened, not chilled into confusion. And let's be honest, food is more than function, it's feeling. The soft peel of a ripe banana, the smell that fills the kitchen, the ease of slicing it into warm oatmeal. These are small joys, but in later years, the small joys are the big ones. Bread is another quiet lesson. Many older adults refrigerate bread to keep it from molding, and it's a habit passed down from well-meaning advice. But science tells a different tale. Bread turns stale more quickly in the refrigerator than at room temperature. That's because the starches crystallize in the cold, turning soft loaves into dry, chewy bricks. Not only is this unappetizing, but it can be a hazard for seniors who already struggle with dental issues or dry mouth. Chewing becomes effort. Swallowing becomes risky. And then what happens? Meals get skipped, nutrition slips, strength fades. Not because food wasn't available, but because it wasn't right. Instead of refrigerating, slice and freeze what you won't eat within a few days. Take out only what you need. Let it thaw slowly. It's a practice in patience and preservation. Not just of bread, of dignity. Then there are the onions. They seem indestructible, don't they? They sit quietly in the pantry, unnoticed, until a recipe calls for their fire. But even onions have a breaking point, and it's called refrigeration. Cold makes them soft, wet, vulnerable to mold. The moment moisture sneaks into their papery skin, it opens the door to bacteria and rot. And unlike visible mold on bread, spoiled onions are sneaky. They look fine until they're cut. Then, they smell off. Their texture is slimy, their core discolored, and worse, onions stored in the fridge release gases that can affect other foods. It's like keeping one bad friend in your circle. Soon, everyone changes. For seniors with weaker immune systems, this exposure can lead to headaches, sinus irritation, and in rare cases, stomach upset or food poisoning. And we often don't trace it back to the onion, but it was there, in the cold, waiting. So store onions the old way, in a dry basket. Let them breathe. Keep them away from potatoes. Let them last longer the way nature intended, because not every root survives when buried in the wrong soil. Even the strongest ones need air, space, and warmth. There's a quiet danger in thinking cold always means clean, safe, preserved. But sometimes, cold simply means forgotten. Out of sight, out of mind, and quietly decaying. Let's return to the fridge. Open it. Look closely. There, tucked on a shelf, are things we placed there with love, and perhaps a bit of fear. Fear of waste. Fear of time. Fear of not having enough. But what if those very fears are making us sick? Let's begin with something sweet, yet surprisingly sensitive. Honey. You'd think honey, with its golden glow and ancient healing reputation, belongs in the fridge. It's sticky. It's, thick. We assume the cold will keep it better, but cold ruins honey's magic. Refrigeration causes honey to crystallize faster, turning it into a gritty, solid mess that's hard to scoop or spread. But more importantly, cold alters its enzymes and natural antibacterial properties. This isn't just about texture, it's about function. Honey is a powerful tool in a senior's diet. It soothes coughs, supports the immune system, and helps some older adults with sleep or digestion when taken in small, thoughtful amounts. But chilled honey loses part of its natural power. What was once a spoonful of comfort becomes a struggle. And
isn't that the lesson? Some things were never meant to be hardened, they're meant to be kept warm.
And shared. Place your honey in a dark cupboard. Let it breathe in the room's gentle air. Keep it close like the old stories that were never written down, only passed from heart to heart. Now look again, just below the honey, and you might find something leafy, green, fragile, basil. Basil, the scent of summer gardens, of soup simmering on a quiet stove, one of nature's gentlest herbs, and yet, it suffers in the cold. Refrigeration turns basil dark. It wilts. The leaves go limp and blacken, not because they're old, but because they're chilled. The truth is, basil comes from warm climates. Its very biology resists the cold. When stored below 50 degrees, the plant reacts as if it's dying, and within days it does. For seniors, especially those who enjoy fresh herbs for flavor without relying on salt, basil is a gift. But that gift fades if it's hidden in the wrong place. Instead, treat it like a bouquet. Place the stems in a glass of water on the windowsill. Cover them lightly with a plastic bag if you like. Let them live. Just because something is delicate doesn't mean it's weak. It just means it needs the right care to thrive. And what about the humble potato? We often don't think twice. We toss it into the fridge during warm months thinking it'll stay fresh longer. But refrigeration, ironically, does the opposite. Cold temperatures turn the starch in potatoes into sugar. When cooked, those sugars create a chemical called acrylamide, which in large quantities may pose risks to human health. Especially for older adults with compromised systems, this change can create inflammation and unnecessary stress on digestion. The potato isn't trying to hurt us. It's simply reacting to an environment it wasn't made for. Store your potatoes in a paper bag or basket in a cool, dark space. Not freezing, not in plastic, just somewhere quiet and steady, much like how many elders prefer to live. Isn't it strange how food often mirrors life? And now we come to something even more misunderstood. Garlic. Garlic, sharp, powerful, and protective. It's been revered in every culture for its healing abilities, its strong flavor, its ability to chase away colds and perhaps even evil spirits. But garlic doesn't like the fridge. Refrigeration causes garlic bulbs to sprout. At first, those little green shoots seem harmless, but over time the garlic becomes rubbery, bitter, and loses the very compounds that make it beneficial to seniors, like allicin, which supports heart health and may reduce inflammation. And worse, refrigerated garlic can develop mold or rot inside its cloves, often unseen until it's already in your meal. Garlic should be stored in a breathable container, in a dry, shaded space. Not too hot, not too damp, just still and respectful. Some things, after all, don't need to be frozen to last. They need to be trusted, and maybe, so do we. Now pause a moment. Think back. Tomatoes, bananas, bread, onions, honey, basil, potatoes, garlic. 8. Everyday foods we've welcomed into our homes for years. 8 things we thought we were protecting by keeping cold. And yet, in that very act, we were causing harm to the food, to our health, and to the trust between habit and truth. But that's the beauty of learning later in life. We don't need to know everything. We only need to be willing to learn and to change. One drawer, one shelf, one small decision at a time. So go now. Open your fridge, not with guilt, but with fresh eyes. There's power in reevaluating, in letting go of old habits that no longer serve you, and in returning to simpler, wiser ways. Because every step toward better health, no matter how small, is a step toward dignity, independence, and joy. And those, dear friend, are worth protecting. At any age, sometimes it's not just what we do, but why we do it. You see, refrigerators became symbols of modern comfort, of progress, of survival even. For generations who lived through war, rationing, and hard winters, the fridge was a quiet promise. You won't go without again. But in our efforts to preserve, we forgot to pause and ask, is this where it truly belongs? Let's turn now to something soft, sweet, and nourishing, but easy to get wrong. Avocados. Ah yes, the fruit of patience. Seniors often enjoy avocados for their healthy fats, good for the brain, the heart, and the joints. But we forget. Avocados are temperamental, sensitive. They ripen quickly, then spoil just as fast. Many of us, fearing waste, toss them into the fridge too soon, thinking we're saving them. But refrigerating an unripe avocado stops it from ever softening properly. Instead of becoming creamy and tender, it turns rubbery and tasteless. And a ripe avocado, left in the cold too long, goes brown and mushy, the nutrients fading along with the color. Here's the trick. Let it ripen on the counter. Gently press its skin. When it yields slightly, not too soft, not too firm, then and only then, refrigerate it for no more than 2 days. After that, even its healthy oils begin to break down. It's a fruit that teaches patience and reward, and knowing the right moment, much like people, really. Now let's move to something more universal, a breakfast staple, comfort in a bowl, or a trap. Cereal grains. You wouldn't think twice about placing whole grains, oats, or flour in the fridge to keep the bugs out or extend shelf life. But that cold, moist environment often does more harm than good. Refrigerators can cause condensation in packaging, especially if the item is frequently taken out and returned. That tiny bit of moisture invites mold. Worse, it strips grains of their natural toasty aroma and subtly changes their taste. Over time, that cold also compromises nutrients, particularly in whole grains, which are so vital for senior digestion and heart health. The solution? A sealed glass jar or food-safe container. Store it in a pantry or dark cabinet. Not too warm, not humid. Just a place that feels like home, steady and dry. Your grains will last longer, taste better, nourish deeper, and they'll remind you that even the smallest decisions, like where you keep your oats, are part of honoring your body. And now, something many seniors enjoy as a daily health habit, perhaps in teas, smoothies, or morning rituals. Ginger root, fragrant, warming, soothing. Ginger is one of nature's best gifts for aging bodies. It calms the stomach, supports circulation, and eases inflammation. So why do so many tuck it into the fridge like a forgotten piece of produce? Here's what happens. Cold causes ginger to soften and mold more quickly. The skin shrivels. The vibrant bite inside begins to fade. But stored properly, in a paper towel, inside a paper bag, in a cool, dry spot, ginger can last beautifully for weeks. Some even bury it in dry sand or rice to preserve its freshness. It doesn't need harsh cold. It needs care. It needs someone to remember it before it disappears. And isn't that a truth we all feel deep down? Finally, we must return to one food we all think belongs in the fridge, but doesn't. Coffee. Yes, even ground coffee. Even the fancy beans in shiny bags. The fridge is the worst place for coffee. Here's why. Coffee is like a sponge. It absorbs moisture and odors from anything nearby. Onions, fish, cheese. In a fridge, your coffee can taste like last night's leftovers. More than that, the cold air destabilizes the delicate oils that give coffee its rich aroma. Especially for seniors, who savor that morning cup as a comforting ritual. This matters. Keep your coffee in an airtight container, in a dark cabinet, away from heat, light, and moisture. Because sometimes the most important things in life, and our peace, our health, our morning quiet, are worth guarding. So now, dear one, reflect on where we've come. Tomatoes and bananas, bread and onions, honey and basil, potatoes and garlic, avocados, whole grains, ginger, coffee, 8 foods, 8 quiet lessons. Each one teaches us something simple and profound. That cold isn't always the cure. That stillness isn't neglect. That some things spoil faster when we're just trying to help. And that the path to health isn't always straight. It's thoughtful, deliberate, gentle. You are not just caring for food. You are caring for yourself. And there's such beauty in that. Even in small acts, removing the onions from the fridge, placing honey in the pantry, giving Basil a glass of water on the windowsill, they're not chores. They're kindnesses. And in a world that often rushes past the elderly, where health advice is overwhelming and loud, these moments of quiet wisdom matter more than we realize. So please, keep learning. Keep questioning what you've always done. And most importantly, keep honoring the vessel that carries you through every season of life. There comes a time in life, often after 60, 70, or 80 years, when we no longer want to just know things. We want to understand them. Why does it matter where we keep our tomatoes? Or why honey should never feel the chill of the fridge? To some, it may sound like just food storage tips, but to those who've seen decades come and go, it's something more. It's about noticing again, paying attention to the small, quiet signs, learning not just how to live, but how to live well. You see, in our youth, we move fast. We toss things in the fridge because it's easy, convenient, and we've been told that cold means fresh. But with age comes something more valuable than speed, wisdom. And wisdom tells us, not everything thrives in the cold. Not onions, not garlic, not bread or bananas or basil, and not people either. Especially not those who've given so much, who've spent years giving warmth to others, raising children, working quietly, building a life brick by brick. So now, in this chapter of your life, perhaps it's time to give some warmth back, not just to the foods that nourish your body, but to yourself. Take a moment tomorrow morning and look through your fridge with fresh eyes, not with guilt, not with worry, just with curiosity. You might find a loaf of bread that belongs in the pantry, a bunch of basil that deserves water and sunlight, or a little jar of honey, waiting patiently to be remembered. Let these be reminders. You are still growing, still learning, still becoming, even now. And that's the miracle of aging. Not decline, but deepening. You are the caretaker now, not just of food, but of your health, your time, your energy. Every food you move to the right place is an act of love. Every onion removed from the fridge is a whisper, I'm paying attention. Every tomato ripening on the counter is a quiet vow to live with intention. And when you sit down to eat, when you feel that meal truly nourish you, know this. You've done something powerful. You've chosen wisely. That's not something the world teaches enough. But age does. So let it teach. Let it guide you gently back to yourself. To the wisdom of slowness, to the health that waits quietly beneath small habits, to the warmth that was never in the fridge but always in you. Now go, open your kitchen with new eyes. And remember, the heart, like honey, doesn't belong in the cold. If this story moved you, share it with someone you care about.